Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. Our guest today is someone who spends his career and his life helping people to make the best of their lives and also their work and their financial and their spiritual aspects too. He's sort of the whole package. Dr. Noah St. John is with us for the third time, and in a relatively short period of time, I keep having him back because, frankly, I enjoy him so much. He calls himself the father of affirmations, and he's actually registered that term. Also, he is what he calls the mental health coach to the stars. But he's also the mental health coach to the rest of us, too. His most recent book is The Seven-Figure Life: How to Leverage the Four Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. So his book is really about achieving more balance in your life between work and spiritual matters. And I think just about everybody who's not fully retired, and even people who are retired, need to think about that. It's very, very important to all of us. So it's time for I think for people to listen to what people like. Frankly, there aren't many people but Father Noah, Dr. Noah, Mr. Noah, whatever we'd like to call him. He doesn't mind any of that. What he has to tell us. So Noah, welcome. I'm so happy you're back with us.
It is so great to be back with you, Roberta. Always a pleasure to talk to you and have our conversations. And I tell you what, you always make me feel so good. I leave our conversations feeling like, somebody who's important. So it's a great feeling.
As I told you, I loved your book. I think it's
Oh,
great.
thank you.
And I'm sure it helps you when you work with stars, but it's the kind of simple, practical tips that can really be useful for people who are not stars and who are, maybe even money is not that important to them, but they're trying to integrate their life and make
Sure.
it easier to live, more comfortable to live, so that, yeah, they can make enough money so they're comfortable enough that they can grow spiritually, which
Mhm.
was what most people who are listening to us now really want to do.
Yeah.
And you're functioning pretty well on that cylinder too. So we'd like to talk about that as well. So what are you thinking about now? How are you helping people now?
Well, when we talk about the seven figure life, which is, you're right, one of my new books, it's actually my fourth book in the seven figure series. So I actually wrote, this is a four-book series: the seven figure life, the seven figure machine, the seven figure expert, and the seven figure chiropractor. So I do work with a lot of chiropractors and help them, make more money, but also win their lives back. And when you look at that, the reason that I wrote this as a series, which you can see behind me here, but the reason I wrote it this way is because for many people, money is their number one pain or frustration. In fact, 83% of clients who hire me to coach them and mentor them, well, that's their number one frustration is money. But what I realized in helping people make a lot of money over the last 3 decades is that money isn't enough, right? And as you and I were talking before this interview, there are a lot of miserable millionaires out there, right? So
Oh yeah.
what good is having a lot of money if you don't have a life, if you're not living, right? And frankly, if you're miserable, if you're unhappy. So we've heard a million times, well, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, that's not really true because I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and believe me, I was miserable being poor. So that's
Yep.
no fun. But so what I help people do with, and one of the things that makes my books different and my coaching different is I am helping people with the totality of their lives, right? So it's not just money,
Yes.
but money is a part of it. It is one important part. In fact, as you mentioned, the title of the book, The Seven Figure Lives, is how to leverage the four focus factors, for more wealth and happiness. And so if I was only talking about money, then it would just say, so you can make more money. Well, no, that's never what I've been about. And so really that's what my books are all about. That's what my teachings are about. And that's what my coaching is about as well.
Right, right. So talk about the four focus factors because
Hmm.
I mean, I loved your book. I
Oh, thank you.
enjoyed reading it. I think it's easy to read, it's
Oh,
easy to understand, and that's important when people are in a hurry. They don't want to get into things that are deep. If you could go
Well,
to,
there's a great saying that I love. Oliver Wendell Holmes, many years ago, had this great quote, and I love it. And he said, "I would not give a fig for simplicity on the near side of complexity, but I would give my life for simplicity on the far side of complexity." I love that quote because what does that mean?
oh,
What,
great. Isn't
what
that
that means to me is what is simple on the near side of complexity means. Well, it means everything you see on social media. Set your goals. You can do it. Think
yeah, yeah,
positive.
yeah, yeah.
Go get them.
Easy for you to
Hustle and
say,
grind.
right?
Everything you see on social media, it's all stupid, right? It doesn't mean anything. And so
Right.
that's what social media is. It's just, dumbed down for everybody for the least common
Right.
denominator, but it doesn't help you whatsoever. So what I do and what I've done for the last 30 years is go to simple on the far side of complexity. So you're absolutely right. What I do is I've spent an insane amount of, my life reading every book out there, going to seminars, paying people a lot of money to learn these things. And then what I do is I distill it down to its
That's why it works
essence.
so well. Exactly. It's
Well, thank
perfectly right.
Thank you. And so going back to what are the four focus factors? So, after spending an insane amount of my life, studying all these things, I realized that it really comes down to when we talk about what is a happy life, what is a wealthy life, what's a healthy life. And of course, it means something different for everyone, right? But essentially, when you boil it down, what it comes down to are these four elements that I call the four focus factors that I teach you in the book. And they are time, energy, relationships, and money. Now, when you have,
Time. Okay, let's get
go
there.
ahead.
Time, energy,
Hmm.
relationships,
Hmm.
and money.
Hmm.
So if you are handling all four of those well,
Yes.
that adds up to happiness.
Right. What
I
I
think,
call a happy, healthy, wealthy life. Right.
yep, I think you're
And there
right.
you go.
You
I
are
mean,
right.
so
You
think
got
about this for everyone listening. Think about the opposite, right? So imagine if you were to say to anybody on the street, "Hey, would you like to have less time? Would you like to have less energy? Would you like to have lousy relationships and less money?" Uh, that
it.
doesn't make any sense, right? That's like
Right.
you'd have to be a little bit
That's
nutty
right.
to say yes to that, right? So the
That's right.
point is, if you that's when you look at it in that way, it's essentially you can't argue with this. You basically can't
Oh,
argue
yeah.
with the fact that yeah, everybody on planet Earth wants more time. Now, here's a very interesting thing about time, right? And I teach you this in the book, and I talk about this quite a bit with also my coaching clients,
Absolutely.
whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, because guess what? Time is the most important element. It's the most important focus factor. Why? Because we can't get any more, right? Time is the only element that we cannot get more of, right? All of Bill Gates' billions can't buy 1 minute of yesterday. It's all gone, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's point number one. Point number two is one of the number one things that my clients say to me is, "No, I'd love to do XYZ, but I don't have the time." I'd love to spend more time with my family. I'd love to take more vacations. I'd love to
Yeah.
write a book. I'd love to do an online course. I'd love to, whatever it is, ABC, XYZ, but I don't have the time. And I prove to them that that's a lie. That is a lie that you don't have the time. And how do I prove it to them? Here's one way that I prove it to them. Imagine if you're going through your day and all of a sudden the phone rings and it's a family member and they say, "Hey, we just had somebody in our family who had a very serious car accident and you need to get down to the hospital right now." Now, what are you going to do in that moment? Are you going to say, "Oh, I'd love to, but I don't have any time. I'm too busy"? Of course
Yeah.
not. You would drop everything, you cancel all your appointments for the day and you would go down to the hospital and be with your family, your loved one. Now, what did I just prove to you? I just proved to you that time is irrelevant. You can't say I don't have the time. What you said is, and what you're really saying is, that's not a priority for me right now. That's what life is really about. That's what time is about. Time is priorities. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not suggesting that we should run our lives by crisis. That's not the point of that analogy or that illustration. The point is, you make time for what is a priority. So, you, me, Bill Gates, Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So, when someone says to me, "Noah, I want to XYZ, but I don't have the time," I prove to them that they're lying to themselves. And it's a lie that hurts you. So the reason I'm sharing it with your listeners right now, Roberta, is for people to really start to think about it and say, wow, you're right. You know what? I've been putting off things that I really want to do because I've been telling myself I don't have time, but that really is a lie. And I just
Yes.
proved it.
So then you teach your clients then how to organize their day, their week around the important things. Is that what
Exactly.
you do? Okay.
That's
That's
exactly right. Because again, remember, we don't get more time. No, nobody. So this isn't about time management. It's about life management. It's about habit management, right? Which goes back to my power habits system that I teach. I teach these 10-minute power habits. It only takes you 10 minutes a day. You're telling me you don't have 10 minutes a day to change your life? Then I guess it's not that important to you. Right. So this is it's a whole system that I have created, again, distilled down after so many years of studying and frankly helping people, yes, make a lot of money, but also win their lives back. I'll give you a quick example here. This is a real life story for one of my clients. I had
okay.
one client named Charles, and when I talked to him, I asked him a question. I asked all of my clients, whether one-on-one or group coaching, and I said, Charles, how much do you think it's going to cost you if we don't put these systems in place for you right now? How much do you think you're going to lose out on in the next 12 months? And without batting an eye, he said $1 million. No, I'm easily going to lose out on $1 million if I don't get these systems in place, if I don't follow your system. Now, he'd been reading my books, studying me, watching my videos on YouTube. So he understood that what I do is different from everybody else out there. So I said, okay, well, why don't you just give me 10% of that million and I'll find you $1 million in the next 12 months? In other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, yeah, that's a good deal. So he did that. He actually paid 100K to get coaching with me for a year because that's 10% of $1 million, right? So I coached him one-on-one for a year. Now, as it turns out, I didn't find him $1 million in the next 12 months. Instead, I found him 1.8 million in just 10 months. So he gave me $1 and I gave him $18 back. Is that a good deal? No, that's a great deal.
That's pretty
And
good.
here's the best
Yeah.
part of the story. Yes, the money's great, but guess what? He sent me an email and he said, guess where I am, Noah? I'm on a 7-week vacation with my wife. He said, we just bought a new RV. This is a dream that I've had for 20 years, he said, but I've never been able to do it because I couldn't take the time off and I didn't have the money. So now, with all the money that I'm making now, I bought this new RV and I'm taking 7 weeks off. My wife and I were driving around the country in our new RV. He said, thank you, Noah, for changing my life. So the point of the story is think about how this is affecting you, not just in money, but also in time and in your entire life. And what are the dreams that you've been putting off? And maybe you don't need to put them off any longer, but you've got to install these systems so that you can achieve your dreams faster and easier.
That's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah.
So during that 10 minutes, what do
Mhm.
you do? Do you teach them a system for organizing their day and their week? Is that what you do?
That's part of it. So that's what I call systems of support. So in my power habit system, there are 11 power habits. All right. And by the way, you can learn more about this at powerhabits.com, just like it sounds, powerhabits.com. And there's actually a free training there that you can get at powerhabits.com on how to actually install these 10-minute power habits. And I actually walk you through this exact system here. And of course, you can get my book, which is Power Habits. You can, get that on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. But the point is, my power habit system is these 11 power habits. One of them is to install these systems of support. And one of them is your activity system. What are the activities that you're doing that, number one, have a high leverage? And then number two, what are the low leverage activities that you're doing? Let's look at an example. Here's a great example of a low leverage activity. I already talked about it, social media, right? For so many people, social media is one of their biggest time sucks. And they're just spending hours and hours, and they don't realize it because guess what? These companies want you to be addicted. That is their job, is to addict you to their platforms, right? Why? So they can sell you advertising, or show you advertising, right? So you are the data, right? Because all these platforms are free, but guess what? If it's free, you're the product. So these companies, these
Exactly.
multi-billion,
Right.
quadrillion-dollar companies are selling everybody's data to these, third-party advertisers, and that's why they show advertising. That's how they make money, right?
Yep.
So their job is to keep you addicted. And yes, I'm using that word on purpose. Addicted. They want you addicted. And people don't realize they're spending hours and hours every day on this mindless scrolling. And they're like, gee, I don't have the time. Hello, you just
Right.
wasted half your day doing nothing that
I know.
isn't
Yeah.
making you
Yeah.
money, but also
Absolutely.
isn't helping you. That's just one simple example. You see what I mean?
Do you keep people off social media?
It's not that. All right, because I have social media, and but what I've done is I've outsourced that. See, that's another thing that I help people do is to delegate and outsource because it is not a good use of my time as the CEO of successclinic.com. This is a multinational company. It doesn't serve me or my clients or my customers for me to be, scrolling on social media mindlessly. So what I've done is I've hired people to do that for me, not scroll mindlessly, but to actually do my social media, to do
Yeah,
these
I have
posts.
someone who does mine too. I don't do anything
Exactly.
on that.
Because it's not a good use of my time. So you see,
Right.
there's so many people out there who they just don't get that because time is so limited, that it is the one resource that can't be replaced. So what they're doing is they're acting as if they're going to live forever. Well, so far that hasn't worked out for anybody. In the game of life, Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah. Well, so far it's working for me, but
Right. It's like the optimist. There's a great joke about the optimist who jumps off a building,
yeah,
and
so far
he's
so
on his
good.
way down, and he said, somebody yells out, "Hey, what's wrong? Are you okay?" He goes, "So far so good."
Yeah.
Okay, it's a silly joke, but you get the idea, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
the point is, okay, yes, we're not dead yet, but oh my gosh, this is your only life. Let's use it properly.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right.
So far so good. I love that
Right,
one.
so how do you help people with the energy aspect of it?
Right. So that's the next focus factor or element is energy. So there are two basic types of energy, positive and negative, right? So it's pretty simple. And positive energies. So what are some examples of positive energy? Well, happiness, joy, gratitude, right? Just being joyful. Like my wife is a perfect example. She's just the happiest person I ever met. And she's just always positive, always happy. And,
Course she is married to you,
it's
my
right,
dear.
right. I mean, who could ask for more, right? But no, she was that way before I met her, so I can't take credit for that.
Oh,
But anyway, so that's the positive, and of course the negative, right? So what's examples of negative energy? Well, being sad, angry, resentful, frustrated, overwhelmed, and so forth. So it's very easy to determine. Let's see, is this energy giving me positive or is it negative? So I walk through the different types of energy, how we can leverage the different types of energy. So the great thing about energy is renewable. Unlike time, which is not renewable, energy you can renew. So I mean, look, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. Roberta, you've heard my story, but
of
I grew up
course.
poor in a rich neighborhood. So I grew up with people who were mostly depressed all the time, and so that's what I learned. I learned that, life is hard and life is miserable and, I'm going to be poor all my life. And, that's what I learned from a very young age. So for me to get out of that poverty consciousness into a wealth consciousness or abundance consciousness, I had to do a ton of work on myself. And that's why it took me years and years and years. And I had to spend an insane amount of money to do it. Well, now I teach people how to do it so they don't have to spend all the years and, go through all the pain and torture that I had to go through. So I'm helping people to eliminate that. So the reason I'm sharing that is because I want people to know I'm not a naturally positive person. I had to work at it. So I'm helping people to do that. If you're not like my wife, a naturally happy person, frankly, most people are more like me. Just more people are like, yeah, whatever. And so, I had to learn how to do it. And that's what I do help people with that now as well, so they can, instead of going through life with, negative or lower energy, to get that positive energy. And it really makes an enormous difference of what you're attracting into your life.
What I have learned from very wealthy people, and I've known quite a few very wealthy people, is that there's no top. The only person who can be comfortable about his wealth is Elon Musk.
Hmm.
For him, he's at the top.
Hmm.
Nobody else in the world can live without envy. And so that's why everybody, the wealthier they are, the more miserable they are because they always can see that you can get richer.
Right. Right.
Did you see if you watched any of the um, when he was on these big rallies with
Hmm.
he was jumping around
Oh
and
yeah.
happy as a little clam. Of
Oh
course,
yeah.
happy because nobody's richer than he is. Yay,
Right.
the richest man
Yay.
in the world.
Exactly.
Of course, he's happy. He's the only really happy guy in the world. I swear. Everybody
It's so
else I had
true.
ever known, the richer they were, the more fundamentally unhappy they were.
Well, that's
And
because they haven't studied my work
tried
yet,
not to show it. Because
right?
when I was one of my first, probably was really my first career, was advising very wealthy people.
Hmm.
I was young, I was cute, and I had all the degrees. They were happy to hire me to advise them.
Hmm.
Every one of them was miserable.
Hmm.
I don't care how many millions they had, they were always miserable. I never had a billionaire, but back then there weren't any.
Hmm.
And I learned from those poor people that there is no top. Every time you get to a place on the ladder that you've been looking at all your life, you know what? You look up and there are still more rungs.
Yeah.
So what I learned from that is don't even try. Don't keep climbing because there's no top. And there's
That's
great peace in knowing that.
yeah.
Because
Yes.
you don't have to keep climbing because there's no top. Except for, Elon, because he can just bounce around because he's the happiest guy in the world because
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he's the greatest role model though, so but yeah,
well, I don't care if he's a role model. He doesn't, if he looks up, there's nobody higher than he is. He found the top,
that's true.
but that's it. Nobody else ever has.
Yeah.
So when you look at all these billionaires, they're all still looking up. And
Yep.
I know that because when I was young, I advised some very wealthy people. And that's a great lesson, I think, to learn, for all of us to learn long before we get frustrated about, okay, I've only got $10 million. Well, be happy you got that. I've only got $50 million. Wow, aren't you lucky? You know, be content
Mhm.
with that because that's way more than you'll ever need. And get in that RV and travel the country and travel the world and just be happy. You can be really happy because you don't have to keep climbing because there is no top to that ladder. I learned that
Great advice.
before I was 35.
Wow. That's great advice.
Well, I'm sure you'd give the same advice, right? I mean, you see that.
Well, that's really what my seven-figure life system is about. It's about balancing those four focus factors, the time, energy,
Yes.
relationships, and money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, certainly I have coached a lot of very wealthy people as well. I mean, right now I'm coaching, the CEO of a nine-figure, biofuel business, and he's got huge, uh, you know, places and
Yeah. Yeah.
all over the East Coast, or refineries and so forth. And he hired me because he just wants to be happy. He's got
Yeah. Yeah.
plenty of money, but he really just wants to be happy. And I've, been able to help him just simply by installing these 10-minute power habits, on a daily basis. And it's nice. It's nice because when he came to me, he was kind of a little, grumpy and like, and over the weeks that we've been working together and months, now he's smiling, and it's awfully nice to see that
He's
kind
got
of a change.
plenty and he can just enjoy his life.
Yes.
What
It's
a
it's nice to
beautiful
see.
thing that is. Yes.
Yeah.
So bless you for helping him to see that and just be happy.
Yeah.
There's so much positive energy and being and having enough and seeing it as enough and more than enough. And you can even give some away. What a beautiful feeling that.
That's right.
Beautiful. Anyway, no, I just think that there's great wisdom in that.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of the people who are really have much more than enough still are not happy because they look at the ladder and they suddenly realize, there's more rungs I could still climb.
So it's not about, to me, it's not about climbing a ladder. It's about installing and implementing this so you have a total life. So
Yes,
when I
making
say
your
the
life
seven-figure
whole.
life, that's just a number. I don't care if you're making $5,000 a month or $500,000 a month. It doesn't matter to me. And
No.
because this isn't a contest, it's
Yes.
about, are you expressing who you really are? Are you being who you are and who you were meant to be? And yeah, you can get paid for that. I mean, I do. I've written
Yes.
25 books, and I coach people. And that is when I am who I really am. Doing interviews like this with you, Roberta, this makes me happy because I get to share all this wisdom that I've accumulated
Yes,
over,
yes.
my lifetime. So I am paid for who I am. But of course, I had to do a heck of a lot of things
Yeah,
to
you
do
had to
that. I had to
learn a
put all these
lot.
things in place,
Yes, wisdom has to be acquired. It isn't natural. Unfortunately, we have to
unfortunately.
acquire it. Yeah, and then after I really learned all of that, I went the other way. I started to think now, how little can you have and
Mm,
still be happy?
right.
And wow, I discovered you can be happy with so little
That's right.
and put all the rest aside. And
Yes.
then I went down to, let's see if you can go a whole year and not buy a single article of clothing and be happy. And yes, you certainly can.
Yeah.
And go 2 years. How old a car can you drive and still be happy? Oh, our car is now 12 years old, but we bought it brand new and it's a luxury model and we're happy with it. We don't ever want to buy a new car. We don't like the
Yep.
cars. I
Well,
mean,
look at Warren Buffett. He drives an old, car and he's perfectly happy and he could,
yeah,
he could buy
that's
a
what I
car
do.
company, let alone a new car. He could buy car
Yeah,
companies. And he's
that's
just
right. We put all our money
we're
away.
good.
We manage it and it just
Yep.
you don't want anything new. That's how we feel now. Our kids
Exactly.
think we're weird, but that's all right.
Weird is good.
Yes. But that's the thing. You start learning that less is even better than more. And that's very, very freeing. It's
Yes, it is.
so
Most people are weighed down by the weight of their stuff. And so, that is why the minimalist movement is very popular right now for that reason, because we were told, we were taught, you buy more stuff and then you'll be happy. And a lot of people found out, wait a minute,
no.
no, that's the way to get into a lot of debt, and the debt is what is crushing your spirit. And
Yes.
so, yeah,
You
there's a
don't want
great
any debt
freedom in
at all.
letting
No,
it go.
no. Oh, debt is terrible. No, someone said to me, no, you spend the first half of your life accumulating stuff and then the second half getting rid of it. And that's really beautiful. That's
Yeah,
really, really beautiful.
yeah.
So what was the third factor?
Relationships.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
I remember. I thought I remember it was people. Yeah.
Yep, relationships. So, there are two main types of relationships: your personal relationships and your professional relationships. So
Mhm.
for the folks listening who own a business, right? So if you're a business owner, you have your business relationships, and the people that work for you, and then your customers, your clients, right? So that would be like, for those of you who own a business, for those of you who are in a job, you still have professional relationships, right? You have your boss, you have the people that you work with, your peers, your colleagues, and so on, right? So that's your professional relationships. And then, of course, your personal relationships, which is your family, your friends, your social life, and so on, right? So it's very interesting, because I'm sure most people have heard of the phrase that says we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, right? So I encourage my clients to really look at those 5 and say, gee, are these the right 5 people? Are these the 5 people that are bringing me up? Are they raising my energy, or are they vampires? Are they energy vampires? We all, I'm sure, have known, and some people are in relationships with energy vampires. And they're like a black hole, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can give them everything, and it's still not enough. And, so
That's right.
sometimes, if, you have to make some tough decisions when it comes to relationships. And one of the most important things is to really set boundaries, is to, as I call it, to claim your power, right? So for years and years, I was a doormat. I had no self-esteem. I had, in school, I had Coke bottle glasses, a face full of acne, and I didn't have shoulder
Oh,
length
not
hair.
you.
Yes. Oh man, I didn't have shoulder length hair. I had shoulder width hair. So my afro was out to about here. And so, I
I,
looked so funny. And so I had no self-esteem, because I'm like, no girl's ever gonna, date me or be with me or anything. And I recently just went to my 40th high school reunion, and I got my beautiful wife on my arm, and I'm like, ha 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 ha. I'll show you punks. So that was a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty awesome. That felt great.
I can't believe Coke bottle glasses. Oh my goodness. The hair.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. It was bad. It was really bad. So
oh
anyway,
my.
but yeah, I mean now I've
Oh,
got
that's
this
really funny.
gorgeous wife and she's, beautiful blonde and I'm like, ha 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 ha.
Did they even notice, or were all the
Are you kidding?
oh,
They absolutely know. They're like, I mean, she's a knockout. I'm like, see this? See this? All right, buddy. You know, I, I literally had people write in,
you are
because
so,
they posted on the Facebook group,
you are so
from my high school, and they're like, "Who's that guy?" I'm like, "That's me."
she,
They didn't recognize
you are so hysterical. You're really funny.
it.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, relationships, right? Very important. It's important,
Right.
to have
Here are
those
my
relate.
first four relationships. This gorgeous wife
I
right
know,
here.
right? See, check
Right?
it out. I must be doing something right here, right? And see, but that's really true. It's very true. I had to work on myself in order to attract someone that good, in order I had to raise my vibration. So again, it took me years and years and years. What I'm giving you in this book that you could just study, and apply it. Now, of course, if you want some help, you should go to breakthroughwithnoah.com. That's, where you could talk to me or one of my coaches at breakthroughwithnoah.com. It's easy to remember. I'm
Breakthrough
known
with
as the
no. We'll
Breakthrough
put
Coach.
that right in the footnotes.
Yep, breakthroughwithnoah.com. So if you want some help, some people can learn everything they need from a book. And of course, some people want a little more help. So if you want some group coaching or one-on-one coaching, some mentorship, just go to breakthroughwithnoah.com and we'll give you a 15-minute business evaluation, and that can be a life evaluation. Just see where you are and see how we can help you, right? We'll put together a 3-step action plan for you so you can reach your goals up to 10 times faster
And
and
then you
easier.
can have this wife, this gorgeous wife situation going on.
Mhm. Right. I'll tell you something. This is totally true, right? We go to seminars, right? Now, I've written 25 books, I've done all these things, right? We go to seminars and people will run up to her and say, "Are you Babette?" Because I talk about her all the time, right? Are you Babette? Are you the Babette? And I'm like, "Hey, I write the books here. What am I, chopped liver?" They just, man, they run over me to get to her. I'm like, "Wow, really, dude? Jeez."
Oh, you are really
But
funny.
everybody falls in love with her. Men, women, children, dogs, cats. Everybody
Oh,
falls in love with her.
oh my
I
goodness.
go, well, at least she's with me, so we're good.
You better keep yourself up the horse. She
I'm
may,
telling you, I gotta work out. I gotta keep
yeah,
myself in good shape because holy
you
cow, the
gotta
line goes around
maintain
the block. I'm
yourself,
like,
my dear.
hey,
Yeah, right.
no, she's
How long have
amazing.
you been
She's
married?
wonderful. Hmm?
How long have you been married?
It'll be 14 years this year.
Oh, all
Our
right. Well,
14th anniversary. Yep.
all right. Well,
Yep.
I've been
That's
married 52,
Oh
so
boy.
I've been maintaining, yeah, well, competition, you gotta
Oh yeah.
keep that going. I've had to
Exactly.
maintain myself too,
Well,
because
exactly. I know. I'm
because
like, oh my
he
gosh, I
was a
gotta keep up with
status
this.
husband when I married him, so
Hmm.
I've had to maintain myself. A little competition going here.
Absolutely. Oh man.
Anyway, anyway, all right. So that's relationships. So
Yep.
some of them are going to be in your family.
Hmm.
Some of them are going to be your highest, maybe best clients.
Hmm.
Well, there's a lot more than five. I mean, I've got huge numbers of relationships in my life.
Oh, of course. What I was saying is that the phrase that we've heard that is, just sort of out there is you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I've got a database of tens of thousands of people all around the
But you
world.
even, I mean, in the course of a week, you spend time with more people than that on a
Right,
regular basis.
exactly. But it's who you spend the most time with. So, first, look, there's that old phrase, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. Sometimes, in some cases, you might have to cut yourself off from some people who are those energy vampires that I was talking about earlier. I'm sure we all know people
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. And,
yes,
you got to
yes.
make some tough decisions sometimes.
I know what you mean, and I have been rigorous about that.
Yes.
Ruthless,
Yes,
ruthless.
we have to. We have to. It's exactly because every one of those relationships is sucking your energy. So every relationship you're in takes energy. So the only question you really need to ask yourself is, does this relationship with, this person, this person, this person, does this add to my energy or take away from, or is it neutral? Now, neutral's
Excellent.
okay, not great, but anything that's neutral or below, you're going to have to make some tough decisions, or you're going to get what you're getting. See, look, for everyone listening, it's very simple. If you're happy with the results you're getting, then by all means keep doing what you're doing. Because we know the definition of
Right.
insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right. Now,
So if you're
some
happy with the
people,
results, then keep doing it. If you're not happy, then you've got to do something different, right? Unless you want to be insane and expect
some
something to
people
happen
may
magically.
not
Good
be able
luck.
to shed because they're relatives, but even relatives, you may have to be ruthless about. I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Yeah. It's usually relatives we have to be ruthless about. That's what's that old phrase? There's one in every family, right? We've heard that, right? I mean, certainly I've got them in my family. I bet everybody listening has them in your family. Oh, there's that one person. Well, guess what? Then you don't want to spend your time with that person. Now, sometimes there's family gatherings, there's holidays, whatever. I get it. But, that you still have the choice. That's why I talked about earlier. You got to claim your power. I was a doormat, right? I told you, about that. I was joking about it, but it's true. I mean, I really was a doormat because I had no self-esteem. So just whoever showed up, I would let them walk all over me.
You
Well,
can't
I
do that.
realized after a while, that's not a great way to go through life.
No.
And so everybody was taking advantage of me, taking my money, taking my time, taking my energy. And so I had to realize, wait a minute, this is my life. You only get one. So what am I doing? I'm letting these other people walk all over me. Okay, well, that's my responsibility. I've got to claim my power. So it was really hard
Yes,
for me. But what I'm doing is making it easier for other people if they find themselves in a situation like that.
absolutely. No, this is a very, very, very important point. If it's a parent, you may have to help the parent gently but firmly go into assisted care or some such thing and
Hmm.
visit them for an hour on the weekend. You may have to do something firm like that, but you've got to claim your freedom from people who are not good for you. You have
Hmm.
to do that.
And only you can do it.
Only you can do it because your peace, your strength is very, very, very important.
Hmm.
Absolutely right. How do you help people do that when I mean, it's especially hard if you love the person
Of
who's
course.
training you.
Of course.
How do you help
Well, I
people?
mean, there are a number of, ways to do it, and they all hurt. That's what I tell people. I said, this is going to hurt, right? So my job as a coach, as a mentor, is not to sugarcoat things and say, oh, this is going to be easy. Don't worry about it. It'll take care of itself. No, it won't. No, it won't. It's not going to take care
What
of
if,
itself.
what
It's
if
only
it's
going to get worse.
what if it's a spouse and the spouse
Well, I mean, I've been in that situation. My wife was in that situation. I'm not her first husband. She's not my first wife. So, I mean, I was in a situation like that. She's been in situations like that where we had to call it quits. We had to say this isn't working for either of us, and we gotta get a divorce. And that's what I did. That's what she did. Of course, prior to our meetings. But I've been in those situations where you're just with the wrong person. Not everybody's supposed to be together. You're just not.
no,
But remember, it's your life, and only you can make those decisions. So I never say to anybody, what they should or shouldn't do. I'm showing them the reality, and then they've
it's
got to make
okay
that
to get a
decision.
divorce if you are really unhappy in a marriage that you really don't see a way to fix.
Yeah,
This person is an abuser of some sort, substance abuser, mental or emotional abuser,
right.
is not willing to change. This is not okay. You've got
Well,
children.
like the relationship that I was in prior to my wife is, she told me every day that everything was my fault. I got a 3-hour lecture every day, and it sounds like I'm exaggerating, and I
Doesn't
am
work.
not exaggerating.
Doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't work.
Well, I stayed
It's
with
not
her for way
healthy for
too long.
you.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So I really, at that time, I didn't know how to claim my power. I couldn't do it. I was too scared. And she had basically brainwashed me to think that no one would ever want to be with me. And I believed her. But if you think about it, that's what a cult is like, right? A cult is
Yeah.
a group who
Oh,
is
yes.
their leader brainwashes them. Well, that happened to me, not in a cult, but just in a relationship. She brainwashed me. And, again, I take full responsibility of that. I let her do it, and it was, my responsibility, but I was just too scared to leave until I finally got up the courage to finally leave. So, and now, being with Babette, my wife, I mean, it's like it's heaven because like, she doesn't make me feel bad. She never puts me down. She doesn't embarrass me, and she protects me and, just thinks I'm a great guy. So it's pretty nice.
I when I look at my marriage that's gone on for so long, I've been
Mhm.
married since God was an infant. Um, I see how much it's changed over the years, and if it hadn't changed, it probably wouldn't have lasted.
Right.
But never did we ever abuse one another. Never did we ever not respect one another. Never did we not love one another.
Mm.
We both have changed a whole lot.
Mm.
And I think the secret is respecting each other for changing, allowing
Right.
each other to change. It's okay that you're not the same person I married because I still love you. The core love has always been there, and the core respect has always been there.
Right.
I think if people do not love and respect one another, they should get divorced.
So true. I think if I could boil a happy marriage down to one sentence, it would be respect the differences.
Yeah,
Respect the differences because yeah, you're not marrying a clone of you. I mean, I haven't seen that so far. And so that person by definition is different from you. So, are you putting them down? Are they putting you down? Are they telling you you're not good enough or et cetera, et cetera? I mean, we all pretty much know what that means. But so if you can respect it, and that's why, that's what my wife and I do. We respect each other's differences. I mean, she's just a happy person. She's always on the go. She's got tons of energy. My idea of excitement is curling up with a good book,
yeah.
and so
I
we're
think that
very,
kind
we're
of difference, which we have too, is very good in a marriage, and it helps the marriage be stable.
right.
Because if two people are identical, what that's not interesting.
Right. But they have to complement each other, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I mean by respecting the difference.
But
So,
but that perky, lively, and sort of serious with a good book,
mhm,
that's a good combination that we have.
exactly.
That combination we always have had that.
That's right. That's right. And I wouldn't what I did was when I left that other relationship, that abusive relationship that I was in, and I left that finally, what I did was I wrote a list of everything that I wanted,
Yeah.
in a relationship. And this is what I encourage, my clients to do. And
Yeah.
everybody listening can do this. I mean, just write a list. And, there are things that are negotiable, and then there's things that are non-negotiable, right? So, but I wrote a list, and I mean, I just sat there and I said, all right, what do I really want? And I said, well, let's see, I want her to be blonde. She's got to be
Blonde,
shorter than me.
gorgeous,
She's
makes
got to be
everybody
beautiful, gorgeous
jealous.
figure, right? I mean, that goes without saying, right? But she's got to be petite because I'm just an average size guy. I don't want one of these tall ones because in pictures, I don't want the girl being taller than me. It's like, wait a minute,
It's
no,
such a
we
piece of
want a
work,
petite one, and I don't
honestly.
like that, right? So there's that, right? But and so then I said, all right, so that's the physical attribute. So what else? So I said, all right, well here it is. So she got to have no tattoos, no smoking, no
Yeah.
drinking alcohol because I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, and this is the kicker: she can't drink coffee because
Well,
I hate coffee. I don't drink coffee. I think it's a huge waste of money. And I said, as
it's
soon as
good
I
for
wrote
you,
that,
though, it turns out.
watch this. I literally said that's impossible. I said, no, you can forget it. That you can't find a woman that meets all these
Oh, no,
criteria. It's
no,
impossible.
no.
You can't do it. No tattoos, no drinking, no smoking, and no coffee. That's
No
impossible.
coffee, that's not possible.
Impossible. 3 weeks later, I met her. She fits. She checks every box. She's the only woman in America who
In
fits all
America,
that.
probably in the Eastern Hemisphere,
Exactly. I'm like,
Western
you don't
Hemisphere.
drink coffee? This is impossible. Everybody over the age of 7 drinks coffee in
Of
America. And I'm
course.
like, are you serious? So it's beautiful. I'm like, I literally, but see, this the lesson for people listening is I want you to go crazy. I want you to just dream as big as you can. And even I said it's not possible, and I proved myself wrong. I said I did it even not believing it. So that's what can happen when you follow the system. It can, even when you don't think it'll work, it still works.
Oh, you are such a piece of work, honestly. I just have to say that. Well, I'm glad you're happy. I
Oh,
think that's
thank you.
wonderful. That's, and I mean, there's someone out there for everyone. There really is. There really, really, really
But you
is.
got to be clear about it. I had to get very clear because prior to that, I was just let anybody, in the door. And I said, no, no. What do you really want, Noah? And you've got to be clear and you've got to hold that. You've got to manifest that. And so I used my own system to get what I wanted. And so if I can do it, anybody can do it. If somebody with Coke bottle glasses and a face full of acne and shoulder width hair can do it,
Trick
anybody
is,
can
she
do it.
didn't really want you till you got pretty too. You
I
had,
did have to get pretty. Yes, I did have to do that first. That's true.
but this thing about the quiet guy with the book, who wants a quiet evening, and the girl who's all bouncy and cute
Yep.
and all that stuff. That's exactly who we were when we met, and we still are to some degree the same way.
Hmm.
Core of it, that really works. That combination works very well.
Yes.
Um, it,
Yeah.
we're totally different. We've totally changed since we met, a trillion years ago.
Hmm.
But that that works well. Um, I'm really surprised because at the core we still love each other the same way we did when we did literally
Yes.
the night we met. It was when we
Yes.
fell in love.
And you have that mutual respect, respecting the
Or yeah,
differences.
yes, yes,
That's the
yes.
key.
And we have three children, eight grandchildren.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a wonderful family.
oh, that's wonderful.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Now, the sixth one was, no, rather, the fourth one was,
Money, money, right?
yeah. But
I
you
grew
see,
up,
you have all the rest. It's surprising how little. I mean, we have plenty of money. We don't use it. I mean, it just piles up there. We don't even care about it.
yeah, that's a nice feeling. But for the people who are struggling with money, maybe money is your biggest frustration, which it is for 83% of my clients. If money is your number one frustration, that's why I mentioned earlier that, I wrote this whole seven-figure book series, the seven-figure life, seven-figure machine, seven-figure expert, and seven-figure chiropractor. You can see some of them behind me there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, so but the point is, I started with, and you want to start with your life. I mean, duh, right? Everything starts with your life. If you're not living, then what's the point of making money, right? So money is for most people a very big topic and a very emotional topic. All right. So yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about money because growing up poor in poverty consciousness, I realized that the first thing I had to do was change my consciousness about money. Right. So
Right.
a big, big part of what I help people with is to move their consciousness about money. Let me give you an example. One of my clients, her name's Catherine, and she's a business owner in Pennsylvania. And she hired me and joined I have a program called the 12-week breakthrough, where I'm known for helping people make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the previous 12 months while winning their
Yes, I
lives back.
remember that. Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
So again, that's breakthroughwithnoah.com. You can learn more about that. But so she joined my 12-week breakthrough program, and she was kind of down on her luck, feeling kind of bad about herself. She'd been through some trauma and some, stuff like, I mean, hey, we all have, right? But she was just feeling kind of, beat up by life and, and had tried a lot of other things, tried all these different seminars and things like that. And just, anyway, so she was kind of skeptical, but she decided to join anyway, take a leap of faith, right? So, I walked her through my system. I was teaching her my power habits and things, and she was a really good student, definitely doing everything I told her. Well, in the fifth week of our work together, in the week 5 of our 12-week breakthrough, she sent me an email and she said, Noah, I just want you to know that because of what you taught me, I just raised $185,000 in one day. In one day, I raised $185,000 this week. And here's the best part of what she said. What she wrote to me was, because you believed in me, now I believe in me again.
Yes,
Isn't
isn't
that
that
beautiful?
beautiful? That is so beautiful.
So, do you see that belief led to the money? It's always that way. We're waiting for the money
100%. Yes, I
to change
totally,
us. No, got to get that belief. Just like that's why I shared that story of
totally get that.
manifesting my wife, right? I had to get that belief in there and I didn't even believe
You
it. And it still worked.
manifested the life and you manifested the wife.
That's right. So with money, it's the same thing. We've got to get that internal, as I call it, your head trash about money. We've got to take that head trash out. That's exactly what I've been helping people do for 30 years now. And I mean, I've helped people make $3 billion as a result, meaning six figures, seven figures, eight figures collectively. And so, I mean, it's pretty exciting. So again, that's breakthroughwithnoah.com if you want to learn more about that. But the book is called The Seven Figure Life: How to Leverage the Four Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. And yeah, you get to have both. You get to have wealth and you get to be happy. You don't have to be one of those miserable millionaires. Yes, let's be a millionaire, but hey, let's have fun doing it.
You don't have to be one of those. Oh, my dear friend, I knew I was just going to love talking to you, and I certainly do. And I'm so sorry we have not we've completely run out of time.
Oh dear.
What do you want people to take away from today?
I really want people to know that they can claim their power. I think that was the message that I wish someone would have given me a long time ago is Noah, you have more power than you think. Because at that time, I was very down on myself. I didn't believe in myself. I had no self-esteem. So I wish
You had
someone would have
bad
told me a
hair
long time
too, on
ago.
top of it all.
Well, I wish someone would have taught me all this years and years ago. I'd be a gazillionaire by now if somebody would have taught me this a long time. I'm doing fine now, but geez, it would have been nice to know this a long time ago. So this is my mission now for my life and my what I do is to give people these tools, these strategies, these formulas that have certainly worked for me and worked for thousands of other people all around the world. So as I always like to say, if it worked for me, it can work for anybody.
You can manifest the life of your dreams.
That's right.
Frankly, I think that your book really tells people how to do it. Your book is easy to understand. I love that. It's enjoyable to read, and thank you so much for being here, my dear one.
My pleasure.
I have to do a very quick goodbye to everybody because I don't even have time to talk about my next guest. I'm so sorry. My beloved friends, we've come to the end of our time. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes, and I'm very glad you could hear this. I think this is life-changing. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you will never, ever will end. And when you get that, and all its implications, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be somebody new, Nick Musica. And frankly, I invited him because I thought his promotional material was so amusing. I kid you not about this. He's a tongue-in-cheek and playful kind of guy about the fact that he can communicate mentally with animals. And there was some magical reason why I forgot why now. Suddenly he can communicate with animals. Please just join us next week. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I think it's going to be funny, whatever it is. And he'll be here to entertain us. And this week, our guest has been my wonderful friend, Dr. Noah St. John. And what else can I say? His life is actually a working demonstration that what he teaches, what he believes. Everybody, I just have to turn it off. Dr. Noah St. John has been with us for the third time. He's someone who spent his career helping people to make the best of their living and working and financial and spiritual lives. And frankly, I think he's a walking example of what you can do if you really believe that you can do what he can do. He literally has done everything with his life that is possible just because he believed he could. He's the father of affirmations, a differently spelled word, and he's the mental health coach to the stars. But his book, which is The Seven Figure Life, and he's written 25 books. I guess I didn't even remember that. The Seven Figure Life: How to Leverage the Four Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. His book, all by itself, if you just read it, I think you can just do it for yourself if you believe. I enjoyed his book. I think you'll enjoy it too. And frankly, everything he teaches is so powerful. His email addresses will all be in the footnotes. I don't have time to talk about anything else except to tell you that this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful eternal being, and you, most of all in this whole universe, you are infinitely, eternally, and very powerfully loved.